to someone like me. Like, okay, I get it. You're at the bottom. It always says equal opportunity, women, blah, 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 blah. But you got to be a woman who can lift 70 pounds. So it's just, I don't know. Right. Anyways, that was completely off topic. So what I was trying to say is, like, when you look at these women who want to do these jobs now and they have no one that's doing it in their family, right? Like, let's say a woman wants to be a lawyer in a category where men are mainly attorneys. I don't know.
Whatever scenario.
Yeah, like securities litigation. So, right, something where it's male dominated as a lawyer. If you don't have another woman lawyer in your family or close by, the possibility of you doing that, it's a lot smaller chance because you don't have anyone to guide you through it. But when you have Women's History Month, where social media is amazing, right? People are posting all these women and you read their story and you're like, oh, she did it. She had no one else who showed her how to do it, but she went and she was the first woman who did it. And that makes it more...
Well, you break down those barriers. It's when people think something's impossible until somebody else does it, and then more and more people do that exact thing that everybody thought was impossible. So, no, for sure. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
It's just... It's crazy that we have so many... I mean, I like the fact that so many women are now standing up and speaking out. Even like just recently, the whole midterm election thing, we had so many women be now assigned to Congress, you know, and regardless of your feelings about whatever that might be, it's just the simple fact that you see more and more of these people getting involved. Like you said, when something is male dominant, people kind of veer away from it. If I'm walking into a club or an activity and a majority of those people either speak a different language or don't look exactly the way I do or similar, I'm going to feel kind of out of place and kind of seclude myself and I'm going to become an introvert rather than an extrovert until I see somebody else who kind of looks like me or has the same background or raising as I have, and I'm going to find a support group, and that's kind of how those things kind of expand. So when it comes to culture and especially the Senate and everything you're seeing now, I really like the fact that we have more women.
And not only women, but minority women.
Right, exactly. So we're killing two birds with one stone because God knows who needs it, So I think those things are pretty important for people to kind of pay attention to and just highlight and kind of get involved with. Not just like, for me, this is literally the first year where I've actually gotten involved with what this actually means, because last year unfortunately I didn't even know that was like a thing. I know International Women's Day was a thing or week or whatever. I used to think it was International Women's Month, but it's Women's History Month, which is kind of the same thing. You still want to, they're making history now with all these women, like we said, in Congress and stuff, but this is the first time actually getting involved. So for them to make it a bigger and bigger deal, I think it's something that needs to be done.
But I think that's mainly because of social media too. Like it's been a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just
right. In my world, it hasn't been a big deal, as sexist as that might sound. But what are your thoughts on people saying those false rape accusations? What do you think the punishment should be
for women that are oh wow, I've never thought about that.
But it happens so much.
I think as time consuming as it would be, I would try to find out why did they lie about it? You know what I mean?
Money, extortion.
Okay, you're talking like literally politicians, like
not just politicians being but a lot of people.
I mean,
like there's multiple football players that have been
falsely accused
because of extortion. They want money, even to the point where they said that a person beat them up or hit them. Yeah, and they found that those things turn out to be false, and the person that is accused, regardless if they're proven guilty regardless if they're proven innocent in the court of law, they're guilty in the court of opinion. and it ruins their reputation. So they lose out on job opportunities or whatever the case is.
I don't know what the punishment should be. I'm only human, and it's really hard for me to consider punishing another human, as terrible as that sounds. And I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but it is hard for me to think about that. Obviously, there should be some type of repercussions. And it sucks because it's like, if a man did that and tarnished a woman's image, I know I would be one of those women talking the most crap, right? Like, oh, how dare he, and all these things. Like, he ruined her poor life. But I think the reason that I would look at it that way is because it's so much easier. And this has been proven. It's so much easier to forgive a man for the things that he's done wrong. Or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe his reputation was tarnished, but for how long? You know, like, there's been people and there's been football players who have beat their wives and they're still there, or they're still doing what they want to do, even if it takes. So it's like, and it's as unequal as that sounds. It's like, yeah, she should be held responsible for what she did. But I think the fact that she did it and she was discovered is already enough to say that you're probably not going to hear much from her after this. Like, does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. And I think that is just a part of a bigger problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but just a bigger thing that people, you know, at the end of the day, people need to understand. Yes, we all need equality as far as equal rights and equal opportunity for things. But at the end of the day, you know, just like you said, you can't lift 70 pounds continuously all day or whatever the case is because you just physically can't. It's because we're all not equal. I said this in the last podcast. Even men aren't equal to other men. And this idea that we all are on this equal playing field, or the idea that we want to attain this level of equality on an equal playing field, it will not happen. And I think instead of people trying to find a way to understand that that's not going to happen, they want to fight and fight for more of that exact equality that can't be attained.
Okay. I mean, I get that. I think it's just like, if you're looking back at the inequality that the women in history faced, it's different than the inequality that we face today.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So, like, women back then weren't even considered to be, like, good writers. They weren't considered to be good at math. Like, simple things like that.
That a woman's brain was smaller than a man's.
Exactly. So it's like, maybe some people, you know, are still living in that idea. Like, they're, like, looking at equality as something so broad. Do you understand what I mean? Like,
right.
So it's like, when you say that it's never going to happen, like, what's a specific example that you can give that a woman will never be able to do, or like, that's so broad.
So here's the thing. Yeah, it's super broad. When I mean women will never be able to do something, I don't mean that in the sense of every woman, because there are women out there that are bodybuilders.
But is it that they won't be able to, or that they won't want to? Because, see, that's the thing with being called a feminist, right? Because I believe I have feminist thoughts and feminist ideas, but that doesn't mean that I don't want you to hold a door open for me. Not because you're my husband, not because you're a man, but damn, like, if I'm walking in front of you, I'll hold the door open for you. Do you understand what I mean? Right. It's just simple, like, little things like that. It's I don't know. I just think that's a really, really broad statement, because if I wanted to be a woman who runs a business that only men are known to run, it's not like I won't ever be able to do it, but do I want to?
Right. And that's not what I mean when I know it's definitely a broad statement, what I just said, but it's not what I mean. When I said we all want equality, and when I mean an equal playing field, I mean we all want to be able to, like you said, you want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company where men have always been CEOs. That should be your right. There should not be anything that should discriminate you from doing that. If you want to be a construction worker, cool. But what I was saying is more like, just like you said, and I guess it is a super broad statement when I said women won't be able to do things that men can, but in a sense, there's women bodybuilders that can lift way more than I can and do things that I can't.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to think of like, if you can't give me a specific example, and when you say that.
So for an example, I was talking, and I didn't finish my idea on the last podcast. I was talking about women in infantry.
Okay.
For me, women in infantry, like, there's just so many variables for women to be in infantry that I don't want to sound super misogynistic, but I don't think they...
Are you going to talk about, like, women health issues? Well,
not only women health issues, but the physical demand. So in the Marine Corps, we have tests, physical fitness tests. Mm-hmm. And depending on what you get on these tests will depend on how high you can rank in the ranks. When you have women infantry, they're held to a lower standard than men because physically, for the majority, you know, this is a generalization once again, but for the majority, women aren't able to do everything that a man can do as far as pull-ups, as far as running. Some women are faster than men, or crunches, or whatever the fitness test is. So I don't know the exact numbers, but let's just say, for example, if a man does 20 pull-ups, that's 100. If a woman does a flexed arm hang for however, like 2 minutes, that equals 100. Which one's harder?
But I think that's like
endurance. There's a lot of women when I was in the Marine Corps, they have a different, you know, they're obviously in a separate platoon, but we do hikes with 80 pounds on our back, hiking miles. A ton of women had to drop out or get held back because of their hips. They don't have as strong hips as men. Those types of things is what I mean.
I get that, but that's literally like scientific issues, like scientific things that women can't help. Because it's like you say, if they train enough for it and they do it, your body adapts and it changes. I mean, women are meant to bear children. Of course, our hips are going to struggle more or things. And then after you have a kid, you're never even the same woman again. So I think it's like, I get what you're saying, like, and maybe it makes you feel some type of way, like, oh, I have to work harder to do the same position that this woman wants to do.
And it's not really that. It's just if we're gonna speak on equality, are you gonna have it equal across the board?
But so then you're saying that you can't count for physical like science at all. So you can't account for like.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
is there a reason that the women have to do the hanging, whatever?
Right, yeah.
What's the reason?
Because not for nothing, because they're women and they can't.
A
majority of them cannot physically do the things that men can. So their standards are different than the men's standards.
So, okay, what's a job in infantry specifically? Like, let's say, okay, there's me and you. Mm-hmm. You pass your part of the test. I pass my part of the test. What's our job now? Specific. Be very specific.
Infantry?
Yeah. Something specific.
I can't get too specific in infantry because I was never infantry.
Okay.
And I don't know what jobs they're giving women in infantry because women have never been in infantry until recently.
I think this is a conversation that we need to have with a man who's worked with a woman in infantry. The reason I say that is because
no, you're right.
It's just not something me or you can talk about at all.
I get it. I think just the gist of the idea of what we're talking about is just.
But that's the issue that I have with a lot of people because they want to throw out things like what you're saying right now. Oh, well, the military adjusted this for that. But it's like, I'm pretty sure the guy who said, or whoever decided, and I'm going to say guy because it probably was, women will have this physical ability test and men will have this one. It wasn't because he was like, I know women aren't going to be able to do this. I'm sure there was a doctor or something, like, you know,
right.
Because
I get it. There's more than
that's
just
our equal to it. That's like saying a person who is disabled and applies for the same job as me, they need help filling out their application and I don't. Does that mean they're not as worthy of that position as me? Because they need help filling it out?
Right.
It's a really broad statement.
No, you're right. And I guess, like you said, we do need those people to speak on that specific issue for sure.
And what happens when there's men who don't even want to be an infantry no more? Like, and I know that's stupid of me to say for the military. It's not like you really get too many choices on what exactly, like, you sign your life away,
Right,
whatever. But let's say, like, oh, we don't have enough enough men who are doing this, and so, and there's these women who want to. So because you don't